Dude, I'm such a weirdo. I don't have to pee. Don't worry. We're gonna have to pee like halfway through. Like, we'll take a break. But
how long is this gonna be?
Yes.
Like that's my favorite part.
It's a theme of.
He always says we, so that he feels less bad about it.
It's also so I feel less bad, like if I like critique or like say something, because I'm like, well, I have that same insecurity. We can move on with this insecurity. So great way to start the podcast. What are your insecurities? Oh, you have an answer?
No,
Okay.
Well, I'm pretty happy with myself.
Good. What about your ex? Is that? No, I would rather.
Is this rolling?
Yes, yeah.
That's
we're going.
Okay.
Let me know later if we can cut anything out.
It's great.
Like I kind of mentioned to you like a minute ago. Yeah, you're good. You're good. we're just podcasting now.
All right, we're just podcasting.
Actually, you know what? I like to think of it as we're not podcasting. We're just hanging out.
I think I used to have this table.
This is
so serious.
No. This one was my childhood table. Like this is my parents'
No, like not
dining
this
table.
exact table, but like.
Oh, like a similar table. So you didn't used to have this table.
Yeah.
This table's mine.
I could have.
You could have. Because you're a carpenter. I just made the connection. You're super into religion, and you're a carpenter.
That's so funny.
You must be Muslim. No, I do.
I thought you were referencing Jesus because he was a carpenter.
Oh, did you now? Are you around sarcastic people often?
Yeah, I was raised that way.
Well, that was not a sarcastic answer. You should have
Because
said,
I didn't understand.
Listen.
My dad's the biggest wise ass.
Yeah.
And my sister.
Okay. You have an older or
everyone
younger
in my
sister?
Older.
Okay. Was there any influence into like the music stuff? Because I know and in church is kind of like where you started developing like your singing, your voice and all that. Was your sister also like in the church choir and stuff?
No, and it's not a choir, but we'll get more into that after.
I'd love to.
No, my sister, she's not very involved with music. She likes music. She supports my music. I will give her credit. She can kind of sing, and she actually plays guitar a little bit better than I do, but she doesn't really play it. She just like will every couple of years pick it up. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But me and her both had guitars when we were young, and I couldn't figure it out. It was too hard for me. I was too young. And then we both sold our guitars or traded them in for ukuleles. So me and my sister started playing ukulele at the same time, and we kind of, were on that same instrumental path for a while. So she's definitely inclined with music, but no, we're pretty separate in that way.
Yeah. Because with my brother and stuff, he was into music. He was kind of started with rapping a little bit in high school, and then like that transitioned into making connections with a lot of the Providence scene, putting out a lot of music through in that way. And I always aspired. I am tone deaf. I have no musical ability. I can't. It takes me 3,000 times to listen to a song to know 2 words in a row. It's pretty piss poor. But
it's funny because I'll like guess the words before and I'll get it right most of the time. Like they're like, you know the song? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I'm singing along to song like my favorite. Like I'm showing my girlfriend like my favorite song, like when we first met. And I'm singing the wrong lyrics to the song. She's like, I don't think that's what he said. I'm like, yeah, but that's what I heard. Like,
so you're my mom.
Yes, yeah. But this is my table. Like, I just want to make sure. I don't want to give up my table.
We've traded and sold furniture in and out our whole life. So it's possible.
Oh,
I could have built this.
You could have. Oh yeah, back to the.
It would have been better than this, but.
Well, this is weathered. Like, there's all the watermarks and shit on it.
You need coasters.
Well, when you have children that are like toddlers and shit, it's hard to just keep up. I have 2 nieces, and even the hours that I'm around
you
them.
have children?
No, I do not have children. Not yet. Maybe one day.
No.
Yes.
No, I'm the middle.
You were
child.
right.
You're the child.
I'm actually more. I am a child. Like it is. I didn't realize how much I was a child, really, until I got a girlfriend, and and I know this is like what every girl like doesn't want to become is like I've heard this sentence said
But
so
it's
many
what
times.
every girl becomes.
Is like, I don't want to be your mother. It's like, but you are. Yeah,
That's
you
what
have
we
to.
do.
Yeah, it's motherly.
We have maternal instincts.
Yeah.
We're all.
So you were obviously like born and kind of like raised into the church, or did you find it yourself later on?
I was born into
Catholic?
Christianity.
Yeah.
Non-denominational.
You were not, okay.
Just Bible, Jesus, Christian.
Yeah, sure.
You know, laid back stuff. Just strictly what the word says. No rules, regulations. We don't even like to call it religion.
Okay.
Just faith.
Yeah, faith.
Faith alone.
Sure.
So, and it's, there's a lot of preconceived things about it that if you have any questions, you can ask. But, yeah, I was born into a church called New Hope in Southeastern.
Is that where you got your name from?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cute.
So it's, yeah, so it's like my church.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of named after that. Well, I was named after that, but it went hand in hand with, like, when my mom had me, I was her last child, she had found her faith, and she had said that she had just found a new hope.
Mm.
And while she had found New Hope, the building,
right,
so it was like, I'm going to name her Hope.
Perfect time, yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's why you got all the musical gifts that your sister missed out on.
From God?
You stole them because your mom didn't find her faith just yet. So, did I read into that correctly, or did I read more into that? I don't know your sister. I'm sorry if that was offensive.
Yeah, no, that's exactly why.
Yeah. Actually, I honestly think I went to that New Hope in Easton.
Really?
Because I grew up Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
That the church I went to, and I just fought it like my whole adolescence life. Like so then when I was old enough to like make my own choice, I just wasn't going to church because it was like I didn't like that whole zone.
Yep.
And then there was this girl that had I had this weird 3 or 4 year actually it kind of started in high school and then like a couple years off, and then I was in college. We had this weird on and off. We would kind of rekindle something for 3 months. She would kind of ghost me, and then a year later we would kind of
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at me.
Oh yeah, is it relatable? I'm a comedian, so I'm trying to make you laugh. I'm not a comedian. I'm just funny. Anyways, so I would always in my younger years, I was very much a chameleon in most of my relationships. So I was mesmerized by this girl. This girl kind of captured me for that time in my life. And one of the last times that we kind of reconnected, I had kind of felt like I was close to hitting this rock bottom. Yeah. And just in my personal life. And that's kind of what led me to reaching out to her and when I would kind of be going through those things, I felt like I was safe and secure, but it was really the ways that she was around me and then would just ghost me that was creating the year of toxicity that brought me back to bad cycles. But she did bring me for the first time in college. I think I was a junior in college. She brought me to her church, which was the first time I even learned of a non-denominational. Yeah. And I remember it being up north. I don't know if it was definitely New Hope in Easton, but it was an hour ride.
Small white church.
Is it up a hill? To get up to the actual church?
From the backside.
I think that's the one I went to, because I'm pretty sure that's the way we went in. Yeah. She was
well, so you can't get in the backside, but
is there a parking lot kind of in the back?
Yeah.
That's where we parked.
Okay. Okay. And then you had to walk up the hill?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I have been to your church. I don't even know if you were a Hope yet. But we don't know your age. That's the whole thing. That I'm not supposed to talk about. So yeah, I went to it and I realized church can be fun. These messages can be fun. It doesn't have to be sit down, kneel, sit down, stand, kneel. What are you doing?
And on top of that, only listen to me. Don't listen to anyone else. Like, red flag.
Right, yeah. And just the like demonic sense of the eat what I tell you, but only when I say.
We always make jokes about drinking the Kool-Aid, like, don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Right.
So, like, people would make fun of me, like, oh, hope. Because, like, my ex-boyfriend, his brother would always be like, because we'd go to church together, and he'd be like, what Kool-Aid is she giving you? Like, Hope runs a cult.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, just messing with me. But, you do have to be careful of those things, because...
Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
Stuff gets weird.
It gets weird. It doesn't matter if it's even calling itself a religion. Like there's, especially with social media nowadays, I feel like some of these influencers are creating these like cult little like niche groups that like
their
followers.
Fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And they like give them their little pet name, and they're like, oh, cute, and then it's like, oh, cult.
Yeah, right. Like these people will
buy
just
my merch.
Right. It is the same. It is the same. Like they'll do anything and say anything. Like even like a lot of the like hate you'll see on like YouTube channels is from fans that don't even watch your shit. They just go, oh they're recruited. My person doesn't like you, so I already don't like they
worship.
Yes.
What's so messed up about society today is like idolatry has always been a thing. Like you make people idols, you make things idols, you idolize things, and you worship people
false idols.
When in reality, false idols. Thank
yes.
you. So not everyone like understands that terminology, but false idols is like such a huge thing right now, and it's just like we need to take a step back and be like, why are we worshiping people that are humans just like me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, everyone's different, and there are higher ranks of society and whatnot.
There's a hierarchy of...
But we're all human.
But the hierarchy is created by the humans.
Right.
Which is why, like...
it's lost in distortion.
But we're not, like, they're not a higher value than you, whether they're older than you or whether they have more money than you. Like, they're not... And like, I see this with, like, I mean, recent... big trend, like the Taylor Swift stuff. Like there's a difference between being a huge fan and like geeking out, having like just like if you saw her in an airport, oh my God, and like you can't freak out whatever and talk to her.
Right.
But like
I would probably do that.
But right, exactly. I'm not even a big Swiftie or any. I know her songs. God, I'm actually like half the time I'm like surprised that like I had a student the other day. It was like the intro week, so I was like trying to do some icebreakers and stuff. Like, oh, what's your favorite music? Blah blah blah. Yeah. And the girl goes, I like Olivia Rodrigo, and I actually do like a lot of Olivia Rodrigo. And in my class before that, one of the students had told me they like Karma or was singing Karma. So when the girl told me she likes Olivia Rodrigo, I was like, oh yeah, she got that song Karma. Like Karma is my boyfriend.
That's the song. Oh yeah.
And she's like, that's Taylor Swift. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're all the same. Like I don't know, like I know the song.
Honestly,
so like
I could have rolled with that and just
right, but a fifth grader doesn't let you roll with that. Like there's a difference.
Fifth graders are scary.
But like there's even a difference where like when Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift break up, there's gonna be a whole lot of hate for like they're gonna just hate the entire NFL. And one of the good things that might come of it is like, some of the players might actually get Me Too'd and like not get away with just beating their wives and children. God. Tyreek Hill, I'm talking to you.
I know nothing, but yeah, it's like
that last sentence sounded a lot like Mac Jones playing. No idea what's going on. And I know we're flipping topics a lot. I still want to get back to
that's good
to the Carpenter.
Because I don't. Yeah, but like I keep losing my thought. Everyone says no bad press, no bad press. Like this could be bad press, maybe depending on how the rest of this interview goes. But sorry, it's not an interview. We're just chatting.
Yeah, we're chatting. There's not even a microphone.
But I'm just kidding. Like
it's just a big black. Wait, no, that's a microphone.
I feel like the no bad press thing has like gone to another level with. Like,
well, yeah, because
publicity's always a thing that's trying to be achieved, obviously, because there's no bad press. But it's like bad for us as a whole.
It's bad for the society.
It's bad for society. It's good for money.
especially when like
nothing else.
when all these influencers like make a name for themselves, and then someone with like 1,000 Instagram followers like goes, oh, there's no bad press, and then just does whatever the fuck they want, thinking it's like, oh, I'm just getting the press that's not bad. And it's like, you're just doing bad things in society. Like, there's still a way to be a good person and get press. And like, like bad press.
Do something like astronomically good.
Yeah, I mean,
How
try
about that.
and the thing is, it's like deep down, only the individual knows if they are genuinely doing it for a good reason. Even if they do a bad action, they know, only themselves can actually know if the action that they did had good intentions behind it.
Right.
Like, did I try to solve this problem and then create a different problem? Like, whoops, my mistake. You don't even have to apologize necessarily, but like,
just recognize
if you, and even in the flip, like I've done things that had like a malicious intent behind it, but then after I like self-reflected and I was like, oh wait, this was me doing a bad character. Like, this is not who I want to be. I don't want to be thought of in this way. Like, this is not the character that I want to be. So like, but I think that motto of no bad press is tainted our brains, where we're like,
so tainted.
It is bad. But I really like your how you brought up the false idols, because like, this is what I was like super interested in having you on to discuss, is a lot more of your religious background and like kind of like what it means to you and how you're trying to express it, because especially I think it's more so in pop culture. Like, I think I don't listen to a lot of country or like follow a lot of like country culture per se. But I do know there's a lot more like religious and moral values in that like industry. So like, how does your, voice, or like, how are you trying to shape your voice or your presence as you grow to like portray that, like teach young girls and young, like, future artists to have that good value and understand, like, not that there's no bad press, but that good press is better.
Yeah. I would say, it's always going to be a work in progress. I'm always going to be a work in progress. And, I was actually joking recently that I for some reason, even though my lifestyle is very country, I, for some reason, have trouble writing actual, like, country things in my songs. I just write about love because that's my passion. And, like, it's so easy to write about your feelings. So you'll notice most of my songs, like, all but I think one are about love. No, Blood Runs Deeper. But yeah, oh gosh, yeah. But I'm always trying to, as I'm growing myself, I'm hoping, I'm trying to portray myself so that others can hopefully not learn from me, but I want to be a better example, and I want to bring back morals that used to matter. And I'm pretty traditional. I believe in very simple foundations of life, and I just feel like society's gotten so clouded, and like, I just want to, like I started doing manual labor. I started working on a farm. I started doing landscaping. I started doing farmers markets.
Is that because watching Liver King, or is there somebody else that influenced that?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Liver King is?
No.
Oh, jeez. All right, that joke.
Sorry. I'm so uncultured.
No, that's okay. It's good. I'd rather have someone who's just not tuned into every single thing.
Into, like,
I don't want you to get all of my references.
I don't know any trends, or like everyone's like, you know this person.
Yeah,
they're
right.
on YouTube. They're on TikTok. I'm like, okay, I don't have time for that.
Right.
But good for them. Like, I'm just really trying to put in the work myself so that I'm not, one, a phony. Two, I think that it matters to be a hard worker.
You have a lyric about living, or like being in Tennessee. Right. I'm pretty sure you were born and raised in your church is in Easton, so I'm sure you're always in Massachusetts.
Correct.
So what is that connection?
Never in that song did I say I live in Tennessee or was born there.
I told you I'm bad at lyrics.
It says my blood runs deeper in Tennessee.
Can you explain that?
So it's a confusing line. I know that. A lot of people thought that I live in Tennessee, and I plan to go there. I mean, I just went to Nashville, but it's more for the lyric. But at the time, making the switch to country music ultimately leads to like I belong in Nashville kind of thing.
Right.
So, but Tennessee was just really an example of like anywhere in the South.
I get you.
It was like
it was
like
for the lyric.
Like it's like I belong in the South.
You feel you feel like
that's where my
feel
blood
comfortable.
is,
you feel freedom. Yeah. Okay.
Like so.
I'm sorry for.
No, that's funny. There's actually a lot of confusion about that because everyone's like, "How's Tennessee?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
I'm still here.
Right.
I'm there sometimes.
Which I mean, like, is it Travis Scott has the Astro plane, whatever? He's never been to space, so I think you're allowed to sing about places that you want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's great movies like Avatar of these made up places like that we'll never go. So you're allowed to like dream. But no,
Thanks.
It'll never come true. But
oh wait, that's not.
You can try. Oh, how cute your dreams.
Hey, you should have listened to the podcast before you came on. That's not my fault. You should have known I'm an idiot.
Sidebar, yeah.
No, I find that really interesting because, I mean, my like journey into the whole content creation actually started as like I was watching a lot of Twitch streamers and so not a physical place. I didn't want to go to a certain place, but like I thought like I felt. Wow, when you say it like that, it's so cringy. Okay, I'm not a philosopher. I don't feel bad about the dream comment now. No, I thought it was like, oh, I like playing Call of Duty. I want to do a Call of Duty Twitch stream. I want to be a streamer and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, like, I don't really like gaming them. Like, I like playing this game when I'm playing the game, but it's like, I didn't feel like I found my spot until I, like, came across podcasting and, like, actually started doing a podcast. And then, like, in the same way that I'd imagine you feel when you're in Nashville or down in the South, and that a lot more of that country vibe is, like, it just felt, like, natural to you.
Yeah.
Another thing that, it started as, like, a little hobby project. I kind of, like, got back into, like, collecting a lot of the nostalgic, like, trading card games, like Pokemon and stuff. Mm-hmm. And now I've done a lot of, like, content. So I've, like, decided I'm going to try to cross over the two and, like, start doing, like, you know, pack openings and stuff. Like, I love watching them. And I've kind of developed somewhat of a voice as a content creator.
Right.
And I sat in the studio with Gio and we recorded, like, an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. I left this studio feeling the best I think I've ever left this studio. Just like, it just felt so natural. It was like, that's what I feel like I was supposed to be doing. But it took, you know, realizing I'm not a gamer. It took like, you know, this podcast, networking, learning the equipment, learning how to like develop a voice. And I still love this podcast. I don't think it's going to end because of the new thing, but like
because of me.
No, you're supposed to just get me the numbers. You're supposed to bring in the numbers.
Just wait.
Just what?
Nothing.
You're going to cancel me? I haven't.
She's what's gonna blow you up and keep this podcast going.
It's over now.
Okay. But this is good.
Sorry, it's Halloween, you know.
Oh,
Spooky.
What was I saying?
Sorry.
So you didn't have to listen to the podcast. This is what it usually turns into. But yeah, I kind of like it. Like I had to learn what I didn't like doing to get to this point where I'm like,
too.
I belong in Nashville. So you were telling me a little bit before, like it.
You can't go to Nashville, but him, that's where he belongs. So you can keep dreaming. You might become a gamer, though. That was his dream.
Have you never talked in, like, third person from somebody?
Like Noel Miller.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna talk about fucking Noel Miller next. But before I do,
You guys Cody and Noel right now.
I'm Noel. The skin. Well, I don't have the hair like Cody, so huge TMG fan. No, I wanted to ask, like, because obviously with the church, and I do want to get into like the difference of choir, and I didn't mean to offend you earlier, but
No, he didn't offend me.
you also had mentioned that you kind of got introduced to it through the pop and like R&B scene, which I feel like is similar to like me doing the gaming stuff and then kind of like slowly finding
That's
that. So what was those steps like for you?
So I always laugh about it because it's just like I hate to, I don't have any regrets or anything, but it's a little, cringy looking.
You're
guy.
allowed to be cringy in
but like, at this time, like, I'm finding out who I am. I didn't know that at the time, but
Right.
I just thought I was this like poppy hip hop girl wearing, like my style was different, my lingo.
Okay,
was different.
I've seen your Instagram page like recently. I like something like I need to see what that hip hop phase.
So
was like.
unfortunately, some of it is still on Google. Google holds a lot that I wish it didn't.
Google hope Shanley.
I just realized there's 3 cameras. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna.
If you want to talk to the audience, you're right there.
I'm just gonna look into the light. Just kidding.
Carpenter looks into the light. She's Jesus.
Joseph.
Joe, what? Why?
His
That's
dad was a
funny
carpenter.
because right before I left my house, Joseph was on I was watching or my mom put on the Temptation of Christ, and it was Jesus and Joseph reference. Anyway, so I had also, found the Studio Do Over Don't at the same time that I, began to record music right as they were opening, and so they have they're a big hip hop scene there.
Mm-hmm.
They attract all the hip hop, rap, R&B artists. Like, that's all it is. It's unheard of for pretty much anything else there.
Right.
Which is common in this area too. And so that's just what I went with. I rolled with. That's the kind of music I was listening to at the time, and so that's just all I knew. And I was like, okay, this works. I'm good at this. This is what everyone's doing. I was collaborating with everyone, and I was like the female voice in all these rappers' songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I had that, voice, and so it was just like comfortable territory. And I've always loved country music, and I feel like during that time period, even before the music thing, like I really wasn't myself, and I feel like my family knew that. And
were you writing your own lyrics even in the pop era? You were.
Yeah. I always write my own stuff.
Yeah. And did you feel like that's like it was almost harder to write because we were talking about like it's easy to write like my feelings and emotion rather than just like country songs. Did you feel like it was harder to write feelings and emotions into like a pop song?
So writing then was honestly like meaningless. It held pretty much no context, no storyline, nothing real. It was just like, because, you don't know how many sessions I've sat in on people, talented people, but the way that kind of music works, you literally just have to come up with words that work with the beat that sound like okay. You know what I mean? Like, none of it makes sense majority of the time.
It's funny. That's what I think about country.
That's so funny. I need to know who you've listened to, but anyway.
All the names sound the same too.
Yeah, so it was like easier, I suppose, but but
it was
also
easier to literally write lyrics.
It
but
was
like,
easier to just come up with something,
but it wasn't fulfilling to write.
It was meaningless. It was silly. It was listening to it now. It has that good beat and stuff, and it's cool. But it's like, what are we saying?
Right.
Like,
what values and morals are we trying to like put it? Like,
right. So there was no morality.
So with this like push into country, what is like your general mission? Like what is in business terms is like the mission statement? Like I the reason why I'm doing this is like for me with the podcast, the reason why I started the podcast is kind of show, well, I kind of like looked at that Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours, and I kind of set myself on the goal of either proving that right or wrong. So like if I just stay consistent with this, I'm either going to prove that it truly does work out. Just you put in the work, you put in the time, you stay consistent, you'll get to where you want to go. Or when I'm 72 years old, I decide to stop the podcast and I don't have any fans, audience or anything like, and then I proved it wrong.
Right.
So like, that was kind of like, I mean, there was other things too that went into it, but like that was one of my big mission statements with like starting the podcast and why I've been like very obsessive about like every week needs to be a new podcast kind of thing. Do you feel it? And I didn't find that before I started. Like I found that kind of along the way of recording. Do you feel like you know what your mission is with this?
I would. It's weird because this is since as long as I could remember, since I was a little girl. This has always been my dream, my passion. You know, so
it's your expression.
It's my expression. It's natural for me. It's always been my identity. You know, I've always been the singer. I've always been artistic. I've always been the one that people kind of saw doing this, and whatever that looked like. There's just never been a question or doubt of like, am I not gonna do this? You know, obviously other things.
Like the reality of a world in which you're not at least trying or not at least going towards this thing. Like, like
there
you didn't
are outside factors, but ultimately, like this has always been my life. Yeah. And who am I to say no to the gift that I've been given? You know, and it's part of my purpose. It is. So
Do you reflect on that though? Like I love having passionate people on, people that like really want to push and grow through their dream and pursue their passions and all that. But I think it's a little different than like just imposter syndrome, but I reflect and I like ask myself, like, am I doing this because I'm trying to prove something to other people, or because people told me like I'm always talkative and like this is my way of getting my talkative energy out, like, or am I really doing this because I want to be a podcaster? Like, do you feel like it was almost, and it might not hit you every single moment along the way, but like are there ever those moments where you feel like I am kind of doing this because this is what everyone expects from me. This is the gift I was giving, so I have to do this. Like, do you feel like you could back away from it at any point?
No.
You can't.
No. That's honestly never crossed my mind.
Okay. Well, I like, and I don't want to like discourage you or push you away from that, but
I'm glad that you asked me that because it feels nice to know that that's never been a question for me.
And I want you to like reflect on this or this part of the conversation, I should say.
Oh no.
When you do, because hopefully you don't, but like that question could cross your brain at some point. Like, am I really doing this? And like, I want you to like hear your voice back and say like, it's just never crossed my brain before. Right. So it is scary that like it's crossing my brain now, but it's just a time. It's just a phase. I just got to get through it. Take some time off. Maybe you take a couple months, maybe a year or something off of the country music, and you just enjoy being a country girl for a little bit, so that you can bring it back to the passion that you love.
I will say though, now that I understand the question more, I will say though it does at times and in fragments get overwhelming, where I am constantly, you know, stretching to my wit's end because I'm doing what people expect of me, and I need to keep people updated. I need to keep producing for people. It's a lot and it's overwhelming, but you know, I love it. It's my life, but do I need to take time periods? I'm kind of there right now, to be honest, to just enjoy life and not friggin' worry about it.
Because even athletes have an off season.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't always be in the game.
I don't really have one of those.
Which is...
especially when you're trying to prove yourself.
Right.
I guess, so.
And it's, even to this day, like, whenever I'm talking to people about the podcast, they go, oh, I never really listened, and then I listened to one. Like, yours is actually, like, a lot, like, people kind of just see who's doing, like, look at me and go, oh, just another white guy with a podcast. Don't really, like, listen. But then they listen, and they go, okay, I think there's a little more to it, or they see the studio and they see like I actually put more time and energy, and I like am really trying to do this podcasting thing. And a lot of times, like the things like, oh, you should get on TikTok. Like, why don't you be posting clips on TikTok?
Oh my God, everyone's like, you should be on TikTok. I'm like, you think I haven't tried that?
Yeah, and it's like, yes, and I actually know that. Like, I know how much that can help grow and build this channel, but I am not looking for the quick success. I'm not looking for the growth. I would love it. I would love it to happen yesterday, tomorrow, or whenever it does happen.
Right.
I just want to, like,
You want to enjoy
as the
it.
podcaster, I'm also like, I don't know if I've fully found my voice or like who I am and like what kind of creator I want to be.
Right.
So I don't want this, because like once it like gets that notoriety, it blows up, like it kind of gets locked into that system. Like, of course there's changes, but like then I'm locked into being that same thing, and I like it's harder to grow and adapt and build and change, and like and then I lose some of the love for podcasting. Even like the journey of like starting to learn how to video edit and like adding that element to the YouTube channel and learning all that stuff. Like, I fought for so long, and I just needed to do it when I was ready to take that next step. I just, like this past week, I just started posting like some reels and stuff, some highlights from the podcast. But like, you know, it took that long because it was like, yeah, it's great advice. It is how I would blow up. But like, if I start doing this right now, I'm not doing the part of the podcasting that I love. And then I'm going to lose the love of podcasting.
That matters.
Yeah, to me. So like, if you're just doing like, you make like a great album and you make a music video for each, I don't know you. Let's assume you don't like doing the video shoots. Like they're boring, or it's just not you where you feel natural and everything. Like, now you have to do 10 music videos. It's like, those are 10 long days to do those videos. And like, now it's like, you almost like, I wish I didn't even make these songs. I don't want to do this 9th video today. Like, and you lose that love for it. Whereas like, if you give yourself that time, you really focus on the part of it that you love, your song's out there forever. It doesn't matter when you make that music video. So
100%.
So besides like the TikTok stuff, is there other parts of this country artist, you know, passion or industry that you haven't fully enjoyed doing? Or like if you could outsource it, like pay someone to do this part.
Sing Wagon Wheel for me.
Just the one song?
Yeah.
Do you sing that a lot?
Yeah. So I'm assuming you don't know
this. I know Wagon Wheel.
Oh, okay.
Dun, like a wagon wheel.
Just I
did it for you.
Hang on, because I just want to make sure. Was that actually the song, or was he?
Yeah, kind of.
It was the song.
I didn't know if he was just
bullshitting. She wanted me to sing it for her.
He said, wagon wheel.
Okay.
And you wonder why I thought you said you live in Tennessee.
But no, it's just a funny, like, infamous thing for musicians. Like, oh my God. It's like when people yell, Freebird, and you're like, no. And it's like, wagon.
I probably know it. Like, if you start singing the first, like, 3 lyrics, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, I know.
Skinner.
I know that name.
Okay, that's a start.
Okay, well, let's finish.
It's like an 8-minute song, like, most, like, barely even words, just instrumental.
Okay.
So it takes, like, really skilled musicians.
Well, I used to listen to that
like,
on the boat a lot.
Yeah. Anyway.
Not my boat.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a serious answer for your question, but I'm definitely sick of singing Wagon Wheel. Well, that was supposed to be funny.
Oh, well, maybe
but
next
you
time.
didn't really get it to the full extent.
Didn't land. All right, so let's talk about the difference of, like, what you do, what singing you do in church versus, like, a church choir.
Oh, okay, so it's...
Because you're non-denominational.
Yeah. So we're Christian. We have a band.
Yeah.
So it's just literally like a setup, drums, keys, piano.
And you're like a lead singer?
Mic stands. Sometimes. Okay. I mean, yeah, I sing every week. But I'm actually leading this week. So, like, you know, we rotate through, there's like sometimes it's just me and one other person. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 of us. Sometimes it's just one person and their guitar. Sometimes it's full-blown band. Like, it's awesome. So we have free range with it. It's just singing, like, contemporary Christian worship music. It's not like, you know, it's like, we jam. It's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
and I never kind of finished the story.
and we don't wear weird robes.
Yeah. So after that girl,
I'll actually be barefoot sometimes up there. I'm like,
really?
yeah, it's chill.
No, that's free, bird.
Free as a bird.
No, the story I was telling earlier about the girl who introduced me to what it was. It was like 3 years later. I just kind of felt myself like falling back into like another spiral, and I just like needed to do something different with my life. And I had a friend at the time, kind of like a gym friend that we'd hang out and do other stuff too. And she's like, "Hey, do you want to?" I like, she was going through like a rock bottomist thing too, and she's like, "Do you want to go to church with me? I don't want to go by myself." And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So we went to church. After a couple times going, like, she found another friend from the gym she went to that wanted to join us. So then the 3 of us used to go every week. It was a non-denominational New Life. I don't know if you've heard of New Life.
No, but
And I like started to really connect with it, especially like the sermon. Is it pastor? No, it's
pastor.
It is pastor. Okay. A lot of his sermons, like, I remember one of the ones that connected with me the most was he did like 3 weeks in a row. Like, each week he was explaining the prayer. Like, so like 1 week he did the Hail Mary, and he explained like, this is like, it's a rhythm for us. Like, we don't even, like, it gets to a point where you're not even saying words. It's just like, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're making the sounds in the right order.
Yep.
But like that still has a lot of power in it. Like, even if you're just doing it like that.
Right.
So he started to like break down each of the ones. And I remember the Our Father one. I forget what line or what part of it was, but something, I just remember it was the Our Father when he was breaking that down, and I was like understanding, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, because I always, and I still consider myself a Christian. I just, like, I knew I wasn't a Catholic just because of, you know, kind of like being forced into it.
Yeah.
And then like, so the 2 friends that I was going with week after week, both kind of stopped going. But I found like myself like getting so much value out of that non-denominational at a New Life that I just kept going for a couple weeks, I think I was going for like almost a full month until I kind of like realized
that he wasn't Christian.
Not a good time for it. So I kept going for like another month. And then I realized like they had a lot of channels of like finding ways, like a lot of people would come up to me noticing that I'm alone to like get me into the community. But I just like, I didn't connect. I tried giving it a chance once or twice, but it just like, it didn't feel right. And I just never felt like I was a sense of the community. So I kind of like,
important.
I stopped going like right towards the end of 2019, but they would put out the sermon as like a podcast, like on Apple Podcast. So I'd listen every single week. And I think I went once or twice more after that, cause they opened up, like they actually got a location, cause forever they were just like using local schools and stuff. So I went to like the new location like once or twice after I was been listening to the podcast, keeping up with the sermons, because they were still so valuable. But then the pandemic hit, and then that podcast slowly, like 1 week I didn't listen, and then I listened the next week, and then it was like 3 weeks I went without listening, and then I just kind of lost that sense of it, but I still felt the faith. Like I would still like pray almost every night, but like especially like one of the big things I learned going to church was like what I would do as a kid and up until like I found the non-denominational is like my prayers would be, I would say the Our Father. I can't think of it.
Hail Mary?
2 other prayers.
I don't even know.
I don't know the names of them. I could probably just start saying them, but like just like I say lyrics, like they wouldn't. They would be a little butchered. And then the Hail Mary. But I learned that like you can just talk to God.
I was gonna ask you, do you know you could do that?
So, but like Catholic Church doesn't tell you that.
I know.
So like,
I don't even know what the Hail Mary is. What is that? I think I do.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Okay, yeah.
And then
already
other
lost
lyrics.
me.
Lyrics.
I only know Our Father. It's in Matthew 6.
Mm.
I think it was after the Sermon on the Mount or something. But yeah, everyone knows that one.
So yeah, I like learned that you can just like talk to him and like
a friend.
Yeah, and I learned that from the non-denominational.
Yeah.
And like it gave me so much more value, and like I wish I did it more than I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll do it like once a week, sometimes like once a month or whatever, but like I find it way more valuable to just like, hey, look, I'm trying, these things. I realize like I don't do this enough, but like right now I just need this. And that moment, like just like the next day, nothing happens. But then like 2-3 days later, my life starts turning around. And then like a week later, I go, oh, I know why. Like I forgot why, but I know why. So I don't know. I like have this kind of like weird relationship with God where like he's always there for me. He's always like ready for me. He's essentially just waiting for when I realize I need him.
That's what he does.
And so I kind of just want to talk to you and about like your relationship with God or whatever you feel comfortable sharing because I'd
love to,
especially in this like social media age, this internet age, like friends and I don't know a lot of people that are still like really involved with church and like connect with it.
Yeah, a lot of it is there's a lot of falseness going on about a lot of things, especially with politics and stuff getting involved. For the love of God, keep politics away.
Yeah.
Like, not saying to you, I'm saying in general, but God isn't a God of politics, he's a God of love. And his word is the Bible. It's straight to the point. He says what he says, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And people might be turned away from the sound of that like it's a rule book. No, it's actually like, hey, we actually have this thing called a Bible that nobody wants to read. I am guilty of it too. It's actually just an instruction book for how to live your life and like not fully spiral down a rabbit hole, which we all do naturally as humans again and again and again.
Right.
I do it all the time. Like I am, like I said, I'm always a work in progress. God knows this. I've known God my whole life, and kind of just now, I'm hoping that I will stay firm in this because, I'm coming out of a tough spot. I was in a tough spot for a while. I still am, but every time I'm in that spot, God pulls me out. And it's so true. And people might not understand how or how that works or how could you know, or when you have a relationship with God, like all he wants is your heart. He doesn't need you to do anything but give you your heart. So there's no simple or complicated way to follow it or do it. Just talk to him. He is there. And, for people that don't know, that you can just pray like I talk to myself all the time in my head. I think everyone does, unless you don't have verbal thoughts, which I learned some people don't.
What?
Have you ever asked someone if their thoughts are verbal?
Wait, but like what kind of how do you have thoughts that aren't
right?
Like
no, exactly. But
I know that people don't have like dialogue. I have dialogue going on, but like nonverbal, like even
what's
like
the
like a
difference between
monotone,
dialogue and nonverbal.
Like a monologue versus a dialogue. Like a dialogue is conversational.
Oh, I see.
Monologue is like.
I don't know.
But nonverbal means not even a monologue going on in your head.
I don't know.
You don't talk to yourself.
It was just funny to think of.
People don't talk to themselves. Jeez. Talk to God.
I don't know how it works. Anyways, talk to God. He's there, even if your thoughts are non-verbal.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, it's like, he is good. There's nothing bad about him. He's a righteous God. He created the universe. He created you. He knows you. And that dog is angry. You know, God knows you. So people, you know, don't be afraid to, don't feel like you have to hide anything from God. Because he
already knows.
He'll laugh like, "Oh, silly child. I already know, and you're forgiven." So,
I think that's another, you know, thing I really learned with the non-denominational is like, God's kind of a comedian. Like he
is. He's funny. He makes me laugh. He knows that people. Like I'm a nerd. I'm like,
I like a lot of times like when I'm doing my prayer because like it's usually when I'm going through shit.
Yeah.
Like I start getting like emotional and I go, like I kind of have that thought like you already know. I'm fucking ridiculous. Why am I crying? Like what is going on? All right, like all right, let's get through this.
Yeah, like I literally will find myself like I'll just be like walking along talking to God like and I'll be like you know like what are you laughing at?
Who's that weird girl just laughing to herself?
I'm totally a Jesus geek, but yeah, no, God definitely has a sense of humor, and you'll find that if you build a relationship with him or just learn more about him. You know, he's not this scary guy with a big staff going boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, what's the God's wrath or something like that?
Well,
like
God does have wrath, but he's a righteous God, you know.
It's only if you're gay.
Oh my God.
Not actually, guys. I just talked to him, and he says he hate. No, I'm kidding.
God loves you.
God is the comedian. He liked that joke. So if you didn't,
he would. Jesus would honestly laugh. And for people that haven't heard of The Chosen, I know it's free.
What's The Chosen?
It's a series about the life of Jesus in Israel, and it's funny. And it's really interesting, and it's kind of like reading the Bible, but in movie form. So
cool.
It's cool because it's entertaining, and if you have a hard time reading, or even if you only know a little bit about the Bible, it helps to watch this. I just started watching it, and it's awesome.
What's it on?
So I know the first season is free on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And then you have to buy it after that. But I have Angel Studios if you buy that app. I don't know if we bought it separately or something, the seasons, but I have it all in there. I think it might even be on Netflix, the first season. But look it up. It's a really great show. And you'll definitely find on there Jesus has a sense of humor.
Yeah, of course.
And if you watch Jesus Revolution on Netflix, is free now. You should watch that.
Jesus Revolution?
It's so cool. Yeah, and it's funny. It's like hippies on acid coming to God. And
that's
it's
fun.
awesome. And I think I'm going to do a movie night at the community center in Taunton. This is where our church is now. I didn't mention that we moved. But it's a community center now. It's under renovation still, but we can pretty much use the building for whatever we want. So I think I'm going to do a movie night soon there, watching Jesus Revolution.
Yeah.
Have everyone dressed as like hippies and
So it's like it's a movie, not like a series like the other
Jesus Revolution is a movie, and then The Chosen is a series.
Okay.
Two recommendations.
But I want to just quickly touch on what you said about the Bible, where because this was a big revelation that I kind of learned, where people always think it's a rule book, but I liked what you said. It's an instruction manual. Yeah. You don't have to follow it, just like you don't have to follow any instruction. Most of the books or any terms and conditions that like you see, everyone scrolls down, clicks, goes. I agree. Boom.
Yeah.
But if you actually
Even better
follow
yet, advice.
Yes, yeah,
like,
it's
from
more
a reliable source.
For millennia, like for all of human history, it's like held up. It's the #1 selling book.
I was just gonna say that. Sorry. You already know.
I know something.
So yeah, if you didn't know the Bible, like tell me why. Like you can't deny this. Like the Bible is the #1 selling book for years.
I really love the instruction manual concept because I try to explain it as like my mind's almost like binary. It's either I am doing it or I'm not doing it. Like right now it's October. Every October I do like Sober October, where it's just like a challenge for me to like cleanse and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but like right before and right after, I'm like, I either have like a big like, last hurrah right before, and then like sometimes I go longer than October, like a week or two after October, and then like the first party I go to, like, I'm binging a little bit. Little.
A dabble.
But I like realize that like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like it's an instruction manual. The more you follow, the better the path, the trajectory of your life is going to be, compared to like if you go, well, that's a rule book, I don't want to follow all of those rules. Like, I don't want to follow that rule, so I'm not going to follow any of the rules. It's like, you're going to go to hell. And I think and this is kind of like where I might divert a little bit from Christianity, where it's like, I think heaven and hell is a mind place while you're alive on this earth. Like, the more discipline you have, not the more rules you follow, just the more discipline you have towards the instruction manual that is the Bible, the closer to heaven you will feel that you are. Like, you'll be at peace, you'll feel free, you'll like love yourself and you'll love others. Versus like the more you go against those, the more you steal, you kill, like and I don't mean like literally murder, but like but you kill off, you kill your dreams, you kill your growth, you kill your discipline. Like, you're going down towards the path of hell, and hell is life on earth, and like but heaven is also life on earth. And
subtract Satan and subtract God, and you get the other. So the world without God is hell. And I don't know if it actually says this somewhere, but this is pretty much what it is. Like, because it's just the concept, and the world without the devil, that's how God intended for creation to be. You know the story probably. Adam and Eve, he sinned in the garden, or she did. I should probably know that, but I don't. One of them sinned. They ate the forbidden fruit.
Those women again, just blaming the man.
Disobeyed God from the first two people he created, and that's what brought sin into the universe, and that's why there's bad in the world, because that allowed an evil force, because we chose as humankind to disobey God from the beginning. So now we have a choice to not only obey him, but create a better lives for ourselves, have a relationship with him, know where we're going when we're dying, have access to heaven, to the kingdom of God. Heaven is just what God intended for the earth to be. But, it was like a trial run when he made Adam and Eve, and he was like, yeah, it's not going to fly.
Right.
So that's why, he says that he's going to bring heaven down, make heaven on earth, because that's what his original intention was. Without sin and without evil, there wouldn't be a heaven, because we would already be living it,
Yeah, which, and again, like I do kind of divert a little bit from Christianity, where like I think there's even more of a purpose of like having a hell, like seeing, when you see someone who you can look at and go like, they're living life, their life is hell. Like it deters you. Like if you saw Satan, like know what the opposite of that is.
You'd be scared, right?
Right. So like and like I want to say these words in the correct order, but like it's really important to have faith, but you don't have to be like, your faith doesn't have to be God. Like a lot of the stuff you were saying, like the kingdom on earth and talk to God and all that. It's like, those are great things. And I would recommend all people try to find that connection, but your faith doesn't have to be targeted at that. Your faith can be what others might perceive as selfish, but like the individualistic. Like if I follow these like good guidelines and these disciplined orders and like choose actions that are for the better, like I choose to do the good things, like you can create the heaven that you have. Yeah. But I do think there is a value in even the individual choosing the wrong thing, learning that like, this is me going down the path of hell. Right. Like these are, when I make this type of decision, like you can say it as simple as like earlier this week, I had Taco Bell. I learned what hell on toilet is the next day. So like, so like that's one small decision that I did that day. If I had fast food every single, which I did have fast food again today. Fuck.
I'm so hungry right now.
Bad
I'm
path.
probably gonna stop at McDonald's.
And that's okay. It's okay to make a decision that is down the path towards hell,
knowing the consequence.
knowing the consequence. And you do need to learn that consequence. Like we needed Adam and Eve to commit that sin so that, because otherwise, like, I don't know. I don't love the idea of utopia. I don't love the idea of only heaven.
Well,
like,
it's
like I like the
incomprehensible. Yeah, it's
right.
Hard, it's hard to think about.
But I like you know, I don't like when I'm going through it, but a lot of my like great memories are like going through the chaos. Right. And you were even saying earlier, like, you know, you were kind of like in a weird place when you were kind of doing the pop music and stuff, and it just like you needed to go through that to realize that like now that you're doing the country, it's like this was what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
Because if you just found country, like, yeah, you could have continued to develop as the country singer. You could even develop past this point. You had more time and life experience.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have understood what the other life, the other path, the other journey could have been.
Agreed.
So now you know how much more valuable this life is for you today.
Right. I completely agree with you. You know, and I actually have pondered on this a lot too, because it's like you can't wrap your head around these kinds of things. A utopia. Or whatever you want to call it. It's almost like, you know, God says that we'll have eternal life in heaven if, you know, we put our faith in him. And it's like, there have been days where I just like thought about that for way too long. And I was like, eternal?
Yeah.
Like, can it end?
Yeah.
At some point, like, that's freaking
Can we
me
opt out?
Like, I feel like it's like stressing me out thinking about it. I'm like, but the thing is, like, all our stress and our, you know, not understanding, that all changes when you're in that utopia or heaven. It's completely different. We don't have these feelings. We don't have worry. We don't have all the things that we feel now don't exist there. And yeah, from an outside perspective, you're like, oh no, like that's not, you know, I don't want that. But it's kind of the same as like when I'm kind of fighting my relationship with God. I'm like, oh, I just want to do my own thing. And even though I keep going down the same path and I keep messing up and it keeps bringing me to the same place where I need you again, and, you know, but it's like I've seen it over and over and over again each time I do take that step of boldness, and I just, you know, I give it over to God and I say, okay, I'm ready to start over again. You know, it always is better. He takes all my worries. He takes everything I'm worried about. It is better. It is amazing every single time. But for some reason, I still go back down that rabbit hole. And it's like, even though I've seen the proof, I've seen the evidence, and I know how it works, because we're human, we're like, but messing up's fun. And we're going to mess up. But you see my point? It's kind of similar.
And I feel like I went on, like, I've kind of lived through a similar journey. So, like, in at least your 5 years, I feel like you're still at least 5. Could be it could 70 maybe.
I'm 5 years old.
No, like we've been talking about. Like, I've talked to God a lot, and what I would do. One of the main conversations is like I had this incredible fear of just like dying alone, never having like a family. I also have like very traditional values where like I want a wife, I want kids, I want to like raise a family. Like that's very important to me. So, like I would get to these very lonely points in my life where I'm like, just help me find someone, and I would like seek God's like, you know, guidance on like finding someone. And then I would just stop listening. And every single time I would go, oh, well, I can find this person and just, you know, figure it out. And I got it from here, God. Thank you for putting them in my lap. I got it. Yeah. Every single time.
We have free will, but, you know,
But every single time, it just led me down the same cycle of, like, being ghosted or, like, it ending in a weird way that makes me feel like, like a bigger hole's been left in me, and like I feel more lonely, and it was always hurting me. And before I met my current girlfriend, who the show, the Ever Changing Vibe knows as Booth Babe, I went to I kind of like sought out his guidance, and I was like, I'm going to for myself really be disciplined. Like I say I want a traditional, I want a good life. I want a partner. I need to just find someone, and when I find someone, I need to commit everything I have.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that has to be that is going to be the person that I marry one day, but I can't go on 3 dates and be like, maybe, or let's just sleep around on the first couple dates and let's see if I like your body. I need to go, no, I need to really know if this is someone that I want to commit to, and build from there and really go all in. So I met her on I think it was Bumble. It was a dating app. And we went on our first date. The time flew by. I'm like, this is amazing. I was like, I think this is it was the first date after, because I had the conversation with God. I downloaded the apps. I went on this date, and I'm like, am I just I've been lonely for so long, I've just been single too long, it was just the first one that popped in my lap, or is this actually won? Right. My girlfriend hates the story, but the next week we're gonna go on another date on a Saturday. So the Thursday night before, I was on the dating apps, and I just planned a date for the Friday. I'm I just need to know that it wasn't just the person. Right. And it's the person that I'm into. I went into this date, and both dates I told my roommate at the time, can you give me a call at 8:50 so I have an out? On her date, I didn't even feel the phone vibrate. I left at 10:30. On the second date, I was asking for the check at 8:15. I was like, I just want to go home. The whole time I'm just thinking about Booth Babe. So then I went on the second date. On the third date, we're sitting at dinner. It was at a big sports bar, so that it was the playoffs. So it was the Bengals versus the Chiefs.
Yep.
She was a bigger sports fan than I was at the time. She's just watching over my shoulder, and I'm like, so what are your intentions? I was I decided I'm committing to you, and then ever since I just was we became boyfriend girlfriend after 5 dates or 5 times hanging out. Relatable. And just every single thing I was just I just naturally stopped going on dating apps and going on, or I wasn't even going on dating apps, and then I deleted them because I was I haven't been on this in 3 weeks. Since I met you, I've not been trying to find more people, and then every single time I hung out with her, I'm oh, the more I think about her and the more I commit to her, I don't know how it's gonna work out. She could still hurt me or whatever, but I have faith in the choice that God put in front of me. So I have faith in this person. Yeah. And I so that's the message that I want to kind of get out. My story, my experience with God, I don't think everybody needs God or the God that you're the Christian God or any of that, but they need that thing that allows them to connect their faith. And if you are disciplined with your faith, it'll work with your other relationships, your other lives, and not just significant others, but friendships and this podcast was I felt I was understanding the important parts of this, and when to be with family and when to do this, and it was all because I just put my faith into God, and then just trusted His faith, and I said, okay, now we commit.
Open ears, open eyes. You know, it's funny you talking about this because, recently, I thought you had the same water bottle as me, but you have the real Stanley. I don't. I almost brought it, but
you have a family?
Same water bottle, same
it's
table.
It's from Marshall's. I don't know.
Marshall's, yeah.
But I like it.
This was actually my girlfriend's, but I just I don't know. She stopped using this for some reason. I just
Stanley
grabbed it out. I just needed a cup of water because both mine were in the wash or in the sink, and because we don't have a dishwasher, so
the laundry. It's in the wash.
Anywho, so I just used it one day, and then I just commandeered it. It's just mine now, and she knows. But sorry, you were saying
that's okay.
Faith.
Yeah. Recently, Well, kind of, most of my life I've always been like, God gives me a sense of like peace over things, and that's usually how I know like it's what he's guiding me to do or feel or whatnot. Like certain relationships I was in or something, it was like I couldn't even pray to God about him or whatever because I like knew in my heart that I shouldn't. Like he would give me that kind of feeling, you know what I mean? But I had never really been sure how God had spoke to me. Some people get the verbal voice, which is kind of rare, but, everyone has different ways of seeing and hearing from God, whether it's a sign or it's just realizing the things that are playing out in front of you.
In hindsight.
Right.
I'm a big hindsight God.
Yeah. me too, and I'll be like, oh, thanks, God.
Right,
like,
right.
Duh. Like, but my point is, like, I think everyone kind of does this. You're never really sure if, like, you're like, did I just tell myself that because that's what I want to hear? Or did God actually just tell me that? It's like, obviously it's my own voice in my head because I talk to myself. But, like,
right.
So for a long time it was like, you're just saying that. Like, so, but last week at Bible study, my friend Bob, who, kind of helps us out each week, he was like, I was talking to him about that because me and Billy G have all these cool stories about blue jays that keep happening. We keep seeing them, and it's like a sign from God and stuff, and we have both been praying about it. I saw one. I never see them, and I'll get into that after. But, like, so I just started thinking more and more because Billy's just, like, so confident in this, like, yeah, I just, like, asked God to show me a blue jay, and he, like, sent me, like, 10 of them. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, it's, like, I have a very close relationship with God, but I couldn't figure out how to, like, not that we need signs because we're supposed to have faith. We don't need him to prove that he's real. If that were the case, he'd be right here in front of us. But that's because faith matters. But what is my point? Yeah, I just
having that faith.
I realized. So what Bob had said to me. I'm sorry. What Bob had said to me on Sunday at Bible study. He said, well, what you don't realize is God puts thoughts in your head. And I was like, obviously I feel like I kind of know that, but I was like, huh. So all week I've been like, that's not just me.
Right.
I should listen to that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would that randomly pop into my head when I'm asking questions and I get an answer immediately? I'm like, oh, like God has been talking to me my whole life, and I've just been like, like,
right.
So,
and I can't help but to imagine the part of this Blue Jays like connection that you just brought up. Even if you're not seeing the Blue Jays. It was Billy or Bob that was seeing them? Billy was seeing the Blue Jays. Like every time he sees the Blue Jays and he's reaching out to you, it's putting that thought of Blue Jays in your head.
Yeah.
And whether you see them or not, like that is still God showing himself and showing that message, whatever he's trying to get across, which, you probably don't know. Billy might not know. God knows. And there's a reason why he's choosing to show Billy more Blue Jays than you.
Right.
I'm sure there's a reason.
Yeah.
And you might not know until hindsight.
Right.
Like that might be the story that you need. This has been such a fun, wild ride with you, Hope. I mean, off to a like hilarious start, but I really like how our conversation got really real deep, and helped me reflect on especially my days when I was a lot more religious, and I like that, and I'm happy that you shared your side of it, your story. But if you could tell that camera right there, where people can find more hope in what's coming next with you, how is God going to help you in your journey?
So you can find me on social media under Hope Shanley Music on Instagram. I think it's Hope Shanley Official on TikTok. I'm biggest on those platforms. Hope Shanley on YouTube. You'll find, just type my name into Google, it pops up with everything you need.
Including the pop days, R&B days?
Nope. Don't scroll that
That's on
far.
Google.
They are actually on SoundCloud, but I shouldn't have exposed myself.
SoundCloud rapper.
Real quick, I wanted.
rapping.
Oh no,
but
I know.
yeah.
All right, sorry. Finish
No,
your
it's
blog.
okay. Yeah, and God's doing big things in my life, and I hope that He is in yours too. So, yeah, I'm just grateful to be here. Thank you for being a good listener, and stay tuned. I do have a new song out right now called Happily Ever After All. On top of that, my latest album, To the Moon and Back. Look forward to a new single and music video coming soon.
Ooh, exciting stuff. Thanks again, Hope.
Thanks for having me.
All right, peace. I'm getting that camera. That's my solo. That's your solo.
Oh, you like?
And then that's a Y.
You like take like clip art.
What?
You cut us both out and put